So the question is going around. Is the paperwork on Fat Joe legit? Now let me say this, right? Some years back there was a documentary that was put out that it didn't really do big numbers. But in the documentary they had paperwork on Fat Joe. Was the paperwork legitimate paperwork? That I don't know. In the documentary that they put out, there was paperwork on Kay Slay. Was the paperwork legitimate on Kay Slay? That I don't know, right? I'm learning. I made mistakes along my way of being a blogger, a journalist. This is what I've became. I converted from being a street dude to a blogger, to a journalist. And I learned one of the mistakes that I made is when I made a video talking about Alpo going on a killing spree because a brother that I trusted who was supposed to be friends with Agard and his family, Agard, I said his name, who was supposed to be friends with Alpo and his family, told me, he gave me false information. And I made a fool out of myself for putting out false information. Now, when you take paperwork and you put paperwork out on somebody like Fat Joe, I got gripes and grudges with Fat Joe. Like, for example, why he never dealt with the Africa Bambaataa situation, but he decided to have something to say about Bill Cosby. Inquiring minds want to know, Joe, you used to be in Bronx River coming to the center. Why you had nothing to say about Africa Bambaataa, but you had something to say about Bill Cosby. But nevertheless, here's what I'm going to say about Fat Joe, right? You don't put paperwork out and then ask the question of, is this paperwork real? Because you can destroy somebody by putting out false messages. Now, I'm not going to sit up there and lie. I've been hearing about paperwork on Fat Joe for the last 20 years. Do I have that paperwork in my hands? No. Can we call him a rat without that paperwork? No. Is there a person with a name that comes attached to that paperwork that's saying, Joe put me in jail? No. We do not have a face. We do not have a voice. In today's time, we have technology where you can call and say, yeah, my name is such and such, inmate such and such at such and such correction facility. And yes, Fat Joe was the one who put me in jail. These are the days and the times that we're living in when you could actually call and make a phone call and say, yes, Joe put me away. There's not one phone call to match that paperwork. And the paperwork is questionable. Has the rumors been around for years that Fat Joe was an alleged rat? Yes, and he's not the only one. Is the paperwork there to back that up? No. Don't put no paperwork out on somebody with that type of status, or don't put no paperwork out until you look into that paperwork, because you could get somebody's snot box rocked. And the last thing we want to see is rest in peace Fat Joe. Because regardless of what some of us may feel about Fat Joe, man, he's a legend in the game. He paved the way for other people in the Bronx, like Big Pun and Remy, and, you know what I mean, even with Pat Poose back on the scene. If Joe ain't sanctioned that, Remy wouldn't be back out right now. That's the bottom line to that. So the bottom line to it is, no matter what we feel about Fat Joe, some love him, some hate him, you do not try to train wreck a person's career like that without proof. You don't put paperwork out there and then say, maybe it's good, maybe it's not, because you're playing games with somebody's life. That's my take on the situation. I really don't care for Fat Joe like that. Not at all. Because I feel like Fat Joe really owed Big Pun's family a whole lot more than what he gave. A lot of lies was told. I feel like Fat Joe owed the Bronx more than what he gave. And I feel like Fat Joe, being a part of the Zulu Nation, owed me as a Zulu brother, somebody that comes from the Bronx, more than what he gave in this Africa Bambaataa situation. But I'm not going to sit back and let dudes sit up there and come with paperwork. If you're going to come with paperwork, come with legitimate paperwork. Check the seal. Check the officer's name. Check the background. Then you put the legitimate paperwork out. Until then, you're just putting a bows out on a man's head for nothing. You guys is playing a dangerous game with dudes that's dangerous. That's my take. It is what it is. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, and pay attention to your circle before they hurt you. One more thing, man. Go in the house where it's safe. It ain't safe outside. Outside right now is leading to the penitentiary or early grave. Go home. It's safe to say it ain't safe outside. And I'm out.